Madam President, I have the honor to present to you and to the members of the Board of Trustees the faculty and class of 2010 of Barnard College who have assembled here today for the presentation of degree candidates.
I am pleased to declare this 118th ceremony of the presentation of Barnard degree candidates now officially open. It is now my honor and my treat to introduce Anna Quindlen, Chair of the Barnard Board of Trustees, who brings greetings from the board.
I'm going to wait for the whole class to be seated. Barnard women of the class of 2010, I bring you the warmest greetings today from members of the Board of Trustees who are honored and delighted to have had responsibility for the college during your years here. We talk often of our great future. It is wonderful one day each year to see our great future spread so conspicuously before us. And I bring special greetings to all of you personally. We have something in common today. I am a member of the graduating class of 2010. You're ending your time as Barnard students, and I am ending mine as chair of the Barnard Board. We are graduating together. But here is something else we share. We will never really leave. The classmates who have surrounded us, the faculty that have illuminated the world for us, the ethos that guides us, we're all suffused with them so that what we do, who we are, what we become will in some substantial measure have been calibrated on Broadway between 116th and 120th Streets. Every column I've written, every novel I've produced, every position I've held in the public square owes its genesis to Barnard College because any skill I've acquired, any courage I've exhibited, any intellect I bring is a direct product of my professors, my peers, and my place on that campus. I'm often asked out in the world why we're still here. Women's colleges are the only institutions of higher education routinely asked to justify their own existence. No one asks why engineering schools are necessary or why Oberlin and Middlebury choose to stay small. Yet over and over again, we're asked to account for ourselves in the public square, just as we women are so often asked to account for our own choices and to justify the facts of our lives, whether we've chosen the fast track or the home front or neither or both. As the proud chair of the most selective college for women in this country, I'm asked constantly why we need single-sex education for women in the year 2010. And I know the answer. The answer is all of you. We Barnard women are singular. The women who are my friends from my time here and the Barnard women I work with on the board have an undeniable, ingrained sense of confidence and audacity, a belief that they will not be stopped or slowed. At Barnard, I learned that Elizabeth Bowen and Doris Lessing were writers who should be taken seriously. But I also learned that I should take myself seriously as a writer as well. At Barnard, I learned that Simone de Beauvoir and Mary Wollstonecraft had opinions worth considering. But I learned that my opinion was worth considering as well. At Barnard, I learned that there were not enough women scientists, mathematicians, elected officials, and jurists. And I learned that we were going to redress that imbalance, not by complaining about it, but by creating a new generation of women scientists, mathematicians, elected officials, and jurists right on our own 4 little acres. And so we have, and so we will. We take on the greatest city in the world. We take on the greatest city in the world in the shadow of one of its greatest research universities. And though we are small in size, we prosper mightily because we do so at a place not where we need to fight the good fight to be treated respectfully and taken seriously, but where our professors, our administrators, and our sister students assume that we are formidable people. And so we are. When I send a present to a newborn, I always include this message: welcome to the world. Well, you are definitely not children, but you're the youngest among us, and so I leave you with a variation of that message. Welcome to my world. Being a Barnard graduate will demand the best of you. It will make the best of you, too. I stand here as living testimony to that fact. Barnard changed my life, and now it will change yours. Today, we graduate together. We go, we grow, but we do not leave, any of us. Bless you all.
Thank you, Anna. I am now pleased to introduce Chelsea Zimmerman, president of the senior class.
President Spar, Dean Denberg, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, fellow graduates, parents, relatives, and friends, I am honored to be speaking to you today. Mom, please stop crying. Like all first intense and passionate loves, I remember the first time I fell in love with Barnard. I had visited more than a few appealing schools. I walked into Barnard Hall and was greeted by creative, smart, artistic people. They had an aura, and those were just the security guards. I looked at the other young women who had arrived at campus for move-in day. They were not from Minnesota like me. They could speak like native New Yorkers. They did not speak Midwestern. I knew that when I got that quizzical look after asking if they liked puppy chow. They thought dog food. I thought the quintessential Minnesota snack, filled with chocolate, Chex Mix cereal, powdered sugar, and peanut butter, the ambrosia of the gods. And my Minnesota-isms were just one small sample of regional variations from a mix of women from 40 states and 19 countries, the creme de la creme of one of the most competitive admissions pools in Barnard history. Yep. I look out with so much pride, love, and affection at you, my friends, the class of 2010, gorgeous from the inside out. I look at you and I'm still in love. We have laughed, cried, learned, talked, debated, and challenged each other. And how lucky we were to have such amazingly inspiring teachers, exuding intellectual curiosity, and brilliance. I am so proud to be here as part of an interconnected stream of women who have excelled. For my lifelong heroine, Meryl Streep, who graces us with her presence today, to women who have graduated before our time, women like Anna Quindlen, Twyla Tharp, Chief Justice Judith Kaye, and Zora Neale Hurston. We're proud to be part of a Barnard legacy that goes back to women like Margaret Mead, who talked to Anthropology Department, who talked about the power of a small group of committed people who had the power to change the world. Today, we stand in the shadows of the women who came before us, whose examples and lives of inspiration have extended the frontiers of what we can hope to accomplish. Graduation speeches are supposed to be grand, moments when you pause, reflect, and distill a mass of experiences into something worth remembering. When people become slightly heady and awed by the majesty of the moment. If you are a parent or grandparent and you witness the birth of one of us, I ask you to think hard and to drop that memory and feel the magic and the power of that moment. Harkening back to and thanking you for that moment is a modest Midwesterner's way of saying thank you, parents, for giving us the gift that allows us to stand here today. In a way, when graduating from one of the nation's premier women's colleges, dare I say the best, birthing is a parable for what is about to come of us. We have been nurtured in the warm embrace of our faculty, who have taught us intellectual discipline and rigor, taught us that for every answer, there are but more questions, that yes, we can do whatever our hearts drive us to do. We can realize our dreams. We can not only stand on the shoulders of our mothers who have broken the glass ceiling time and time again, but we can build our own castle in the sky, a world in which we are in boardrooms, on the highest courts of this land, in the White House, pioneering new science, writing plays, and all the while raising our own 2 or 3 perfect children with our loving egalitarian partners. Yes, we can have a dream. We are a long way from the day, back in the early 1960s, when the Barnard catalog talked about how women were required to wear pants or dresses below the knee when crossing Broadway for fear of how we might inflame, attract, excite, or be diverted by the young men across the street. We have come a long way from the day when a college degree qualified a woman to be a secretary, or as Justice Sandra Day O'Connor experienced, to graduate at the top of her law school class in 2 rather than the usual 3 years, only to be offered a position as a secretary in a law firm. We come here today ready to set the world on fire, and we are filled with uncommon talents. In our class, to take just a few examples, are our world finalists in the Odyssey of the Mind competition, 2 trapeze circus performers, who I'm still waiting to see perform on Lehman Lawn, 3 professional actresses, and a dancer with the Boston Conservatory. Not to minimize the accomplishments of Martha Stewart and Margaret Mead, we will leave our mark on the world. And so we take leave of this place we love, of 4 years filled with memories big and small, of cooking misadventures in newly built dorm kitchens, resulting in numerous fire alarms and new and renewed friendships with the firefighters of Engine Company 47, of travel through our subterranean tunnels when the construction of the Diana Center forced us underground for 2.5 years, sometimes in our pajamas and slippers. We witnessed 2 historic presidential inaugurations, that of President Obama on a frigidly cold January morning, and President Spar in a filled-to-capacity Riverside church. President Obama urged us to, quote, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and get to work. And President Spar inspired us with her vision of making Barnard a world-class institution for the study of women's leadership. Class of 2010, let us greet the future. Barnard has equipped us with the tools to tackle the unknown challenges that await us. It's up to us to use the tools wisely. Let us find joy in what Barnard means to us now and will mean in the years ahead. We should bask in the glory of this day, pausing to reflect on how we can best use our boundless energy and talents. As T.S. Eliot once wrote, "What we call the beginning is often the end. And to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. The challenges are before us. Let us rise to meet them."
Thank you, Chelsea. That was beautiful. I am now pleased to introduce Elizabeth Boylan, Provost and Dean of the Faculty, who brings greetings from the faculty.
Good afternoon. To the amazing members of the class of 2010 and your families and friends, to the distinguished guests of the college and the platform party here with me, to our dedicated trustees, alumni, and staff of Barnard who are with us today, and to my esteemed colleagues over on my right on the Barnard faculty, on whose behalf I bring greetings. All of you know that Barnard is both a liberal arts college for women and that it is more. Partnered with Columbia, located on Broadway, engaged with New York City. Our academic programs likewise exhibit both and features. Distinctive majors in the arts that fuse both the study of and the practice of the arts. An urban studies program that is both about and of New York. And a Center for Research on Women that celebrates through its annual symposium both the scholar and the feminist. We celebrate, too, the lives of people who might have, and perhaps should have, come to Barnard, those who share our both and approach to the world. One such woman is Terry Tempest Williams, currently the Annie Clark Tanner Scholar of Environmental Humanities at the University of Utah, whose website describes her as both a naturalist and fierce advocate for freedom of speech, who is committed to showing us how environmental issues are social issues that ultimately become issues of justice. Author of books, poetry, essays, she has written this distillation of her beliefs, quote, "This is my living faith, an active faith, a faith of verbs," unquote. Now, which verbs earned a place in her faith book? Here's a representative selection for you. To question, explore, experiment, experience, listen, argue, speak, write, read, draw, provoke, emote, scream, sin, repent, cry, cajole, create, confront, confound, walk back, walk forward, circle, hide, and seek. To seek, to embrace the questions, be wary of the answers, unquote. The statement of faith of Terry Tempest Williams, to seek, to embrace the questions, be wary of the answers. In completing your degree here at Barnard, you have embraced the active life of verbs. You have set your sights high and accomplished much. The Barnard faculty and I have every faith that you will continue both to ask the questions with an avid curiosity and to interrogate answers with an informed skepticism. May you take from us and give to the world what our mission statement promises, the self-renewing intellectual resourcefulness that is the mark of our liberal arts education. And now I send you off through the figurative Barnard gates, as has been my tradition, with the words of Garrison Keillor, "Be well, do good work, and keep in touch." Thank you.
I am now pleased to present Kathryn Palillo, President of the Student Government Association.
I want to be a Barnard historian when I grow up. I've spent hours in the archives poring over pictures and yearbooks and newspaper clippings, eager to learn the stories of Milbank, Held, and McIntosh. I've become obsessed with the story of Barnard. It's one of discovery, of resistance, and remarkable women. Our college has been home to students who have dedicated themselves to doing work that matters. Our predecessors established themselves and set the bar for the strong and the beautiful, and we celebrate their triumphs and recognize their achievements often. It may be difficult to envision the illustrious women who came before us as anything but stately portraits hanging in Sulzberger Parlor, but they were, just like us, sitting at their commencement, terrified of life after Barnard, thrilled to go out into the real world, and overwhelmingly elated to graduate from our school. As we process in our caps and gowns, looking very much like the pictures of graduations past, I'm reminded of the similarities we share with our foremothers. They spoke up and spoke out like us. They came to Barnard with the same passion and reverence we experienced when we walked through the gates for the first time. We wrote for Bulletin, we voted in student government elections, and we met the physical education requirement like they did. It is in these shared stories of life in our community that I am assured of the glittering future of 2010. Our class is the next to join the panorama of brave and remarkable alumni and will do so with courage and grace. Our foremothers didn't leave Barnard and instantly become legends, but they did so because they had the support system of their companions. They forged the same enduring bonds we have, the same community of belonging, the same dominating sense of being a group of like-minded leaders and visionaries. We are an outstanding group of individuals who have lived and learned in the best women's college in the world. We have enacted elaborate power takeovers in reacting to the past. We've hosted cultural months, art showcases, and midnight breakfasts, and we have repeatedly taken back the night. We've competed with the brightest young minds in our classes, in our clubs, and on our teams. We've questioned authority. We've broken through barriers, and we have been afraid, and we have been through the fear, and we have defeated it. I'm not sure there's a typical Barnard experience. The hundreds of opportunities for discussion, achievement, and empowerment make it difficult to generalize our individual journeys. But certain elements that are crucial to developing in an environment surrounded by brilliant and inspiring women bridge the differences among our diverse population. Much like the women before us, our paths to self-discovery have been long and winding, with detours and stretches of unpaved road. We've established community in the absence of a student center. We've watched homecoming games and gone to the gym and cheered on the best rebounder in the nation. We've written for The Spectator, danced in dozens of performances, hit the campaign trails, and taught young children how to read. The women who attended Barnard in its early years were prohibited by etiquette from acknowledging and interacting with the men in their classes because they had not been properly introduced. Today, we kick their butts. We are concerned not only about how well we do, but about what good we do. You can quite actually spend hours in the archives reading the individual success stories, and they are informative and exhilarating, but not comprehensive. It's this moment, it's this threshold on which we're all standing that can define us. There'll be decisions we'll have to make and paths we'll have to take by ourselves, but it's what we've fostered on this campus that will sustain us when we waver and are unsure. What we have here today can't be described as camaraderie, it's not a partnership, we're not affiliated with each other, and we're not a clique. What we have here is an undeniable sisterhood built on late nights and early mornings, of fear and fearlessness, of discovering and trailblazing and pioneering. The women who were here before us held teas and fudge parties and taffy pulling nights before Thanksgiving. We have been Athena scholars. We have researched water samples in Bangladesh. We have read and digested manuscripts, manifestos, and the mystique. We've heard and met leaders who have shaped the world in which we live. We've been inspired by the stories that came before us and will be inspired by the ones that come after. We are already devoted to Barnard history because we are all part of Barnard history. We are passionate and supportive of the careers, relationships, and dreams our friends pursue, and they are the legacy of Barnard. I have tremendous respect for the women I've been fortunate enough to know at my time here. Watching your friend host a Seven Sisters conference, another friend choreograph performance after performance, and another friend gather personal interviews for her thesis inspires you to be better. We are surrounded by high-achieving, inquisitive young women who are driven and passionate about everything they do. It's this community marked by motivation and never settling for second best that we leave today. But relocations and parting ways won't dismantle our sisterhood because we've gone through this together, and each of you carry a part of each other past the gates and out of Morningside Heights. We carry other things too. Pride in our roommates' accomplishments, the joy of what we'll do with our opportunities, and the expectation that we'll call each other to come out and celebrate our collaborative impact on the world. It's been an absolute honor to be able to compose with you our small portion of Barnard history, the shared memory of what we did while we were here. Our story will evolve and be crafted by the incredible women of the class of 2010 sitting before me. I wish you the best of luck in your futures. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Katie. Speaking of history, in 1931, Barnard established the Frank Gilbert Bryson Prize to recognize the senior who receives the most votes of her classmates for her contribution to Barnard during her college years. In keeping with tradition, no one in the class, including the recipient, knows the outcome of the balloting until it is announced at this ceremony. This year's Bryson Prize is awarded to, I should be letting Miss Streep do this. Amy Chan. Congratulations. This is a great honor, and we all hope you take great pleasure in it. I am now pleased to present Sally Davis and Melissa Lasker, co-chairs of the Senior Fund Committee.
Hello. Seniors, over the last year, we have asked you to think about what Barnard has given you. We've asked you, how would you like to show your class spirit? And how would you like the class of 2010 to be remembered?
You answered these questions with an overwhelming amount of support, enthusiasm, and spirit. We are thrilled by your generosity and your commitment to our class and to Barnard, all things to be admired.
As a result of your participation and desire to give back, we are excited to report that the Senior Fund exceeded its $10,000 goal, giving us the opportunity to receive a generous challenge from a class parent and bringing us to an incredible $16,108.
This money, raised by nearly 60% of our class, represents one of the highest totals in the history of the Barnard Senior Fund and will go toward our legacy gift. We are proud to announce that our gift, voted upon by our classmates, is the Class of 2010 Contingency Fund.
The Contingency Fund will assist incoming Barnard students receiving financial aid with startup costs, such as bedding, clothes, and other costs essential to college life, not to mention life in New York City, one of the greatest and most expensive cities in the world. Our legacy gift will supplement financial aid packages and will provide future students with these much-needed resources.
Take today to be proud of yourselves, your achievements, your successes, and your legacy. We hope you'll look back on all the wonderful and unique things you've brought to Barnard and revel in the knowledge that you are helping future Barnard women leave their unique mark on campus as well.
We are certainly proud to consider ourselves a part of the class of 2010 and could not be more amazed by each and every one of you. You are an inspiration to your friends, classmates, families, and teachers, and it is with the warmest and most heartfelt of sentiments that we say to you, congratulations.
Thank you to both of you, and thank you to all of you. That is not only a generous gift, but an incredibly thoughtful and important gift. So thank you on behalf of all of us here. I am now pleased to present Alicia Mountain, who will offer academic reflections on behalf of the class of 2010.
Hello. I'd like to thank friends, family, and faculty for being here to celebrate with us today. And I'd like to thank my fellow graduates for being here to celebrate with us every day. It's fair to say that during my past 4 years at Barnard, I've fallen in love with America. And I mean deeply, smittenly, unconditionally in love. In high school, at my most rebellious, I had dreams of going to college in some romanticized foreign place. I didn't really feel at home in a country that seemed hungry for war and scandal, blind to pollution, inequity, and the condition of the human spirit. I craved to be part of a proud tradition, and instead I was unsure what it would mean to reach adulthood, womanhood, personhood in this America. Now it's been 4 years, and I'm a Barnard English major, which I think has made all the difference. In my courses of study each semester, my professors reintroduced me to the characters of our history, and I met America through its great writers. I read Adams and Jefferson, who taught me about the optimism of democracy. And then I read Frederick Douglass, who showed me some of its failings. Emerson and Thoreau explained to me the sublime and transcendental majesty of the land we live on. William Apis, a Pequot, taught me who had walked the land before it was America. Fitzgerald showed me wealth, and Hemingway war, while Morrison and Hurston showed me the strength of women. Dickinson made me want to try and try and try again to understand. Faulkner taught me about bearing burdens. I could go on and on about them in the same way that I talk about my wonderful friends and roommates, favorite professors and parents, because these are the people who have taught me who I am. New York is such a worldly, cosmopolitan place, which is part of what thankfully brought me to Barnard. As global as it is, New York has also been a crossroads of America. This is where Walt Whitman sang a joyous Song of Myself, and Langston Hughes replied, "I too sing America." In our time at college, we welcome those who are working to shape our country today. We saw Hillary Clinton in Barnard Hall, and we heard President Obama's inauguration on the steps at Columbia. We got to spend our days with brilliant scholars, many of whom changed our minds and perhaps changed our lives. And we've become acquainted with those who will write the next chapter in the story of our society, our classmates. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my life yet. A lot of us aren't sure what we're going to do with our lives yet. I wrote my senior thesis on a great American novel, Moby Dick. In my thesis, I wrote about the philosophical sublime in Moby Dick. And sometimes, even though I don't know what I'm going to do, I wish that I wanted something as badly as Ahab wanted that whale. The sublime is that sensation that comes with recognizing the vast magnitude of the world we live in. It's the experience of witnessing infinity. It's the feeling of both terror and delight at the same time. The sublime is to stand on the precipice of greatness, which is where we're all standing today. That feeling of terror is important to the sublime, and it's okay to be afraid, guys. But we have far, far more to delight in. We're lucky that Barnard has endowed us with the skill, compassion, and curiosity needed to step off that precipice, knowing we will land on our feet, able to pursue happiness. In all of my uncertainty about the future, I still feel that America is a place full of infinite potential, a nation that flung itself into existence not so long ago, and that's something to be excited about. Let's remember those who have taught us, in classrooms, in homes, and in books. And let's go out and do right by them. And let's do right by ourselves. Congratulations, and thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Beautiful. We now turn to one of the most important moments of our commencement, the presentation of the Barnard Medals of Distinction to individuals who represent the college's ideals of excellence, innovation, intellectual curiosity, and service. Alberta Wright, a Barnard senior in art history, will present the citation for Thelma Golden.
Madam President, I have the honor to present as recipient of the 2010 Barnard Medal of Distinction, Thelma Golden. Thelma Golden. Visionary of the art world, prize curator of Harlem, creative force on the New York Museum stage, revealing the unseen artist and challenging our view. Born and raised in Queens, you loved art almost from the beginning. You visited museums as a kid, and by the age of 12, when you discovered that a curator was the person who put those things up, your sights were set. You landed an apprenticeship at the Metropolitan Museum as a high school senior, and in 1987, joined our Women's College Sisterhood, earning your BA in Art History and African American Studies from Smith. After paying your dues, assisting and interning, you took a position at the Whitney Museum of American Art in 1991. There, just 4 years out of college, you began to make a significant mark in an otherwise male-dominated profession. That mark became a very big splash when you co-curated the Whitney's 1993 landmark and hotly debated biennial. The predominance of women, African American, Asian American, Latino, and gay artists whose work you showed was as controversial as it was unprecedented. Your solo curatorial debut a year later was no less bold and is talked about still. Black male representations of masculinity in contemporary American art hit a cultural nerve, and you stood fearless and unapologetic in its wake. Thinking outside the box about issues of race and gender was your signature, and you remained at the Whitney for a decade. The Studio Museum in Harlem followed in 2000, and within 5 years, you were named to the post you so brilliantly hold today, Director and Chief Curator. In your own words, you see museum as think tank, exhibition as the ultimate white paper, Harlem as the psychic heart of the Black experience, and curating as an active verb, the truest form of collaboration. And there, on West 125th Street, with shows like Freestyle, Frequency, and Flow, you make it all happen. According to one trustee, wherever you go in the art world, when you say Thelma, you don't have to say Golden. Today, it is my personal privilege to celebrate you, along with the 500 amazing classmates here before you. For, as we say at Barnard, majoring in unafraid. Thank you for inspiring us, for being such a powerful catalyst for change, and for bringing the narrative of art and artists to new light.
It is my great pleasure to present you with the Barnard Medal of Distinction. As I think you all know, Senator Olympia Snowe was supposed to be here with us today. But as hopefully you also know, Senator Snowe has never missed a vote in 30 years in Congress. And when the Congress decided on Friday to schedule a last-minute vote this afternoon on financial reform, she decided that she had to stay in Washington for this vote. So we miss her with us today. She has promised us that she will come back in the fall, but we would like to honor her nevertheless by reading the citation for her medal. Kathryn Gilbert, Director of the Athena Center for Leadership Studies, will present the citation for Olympia Snowe.
Olympia Jean Snowe, United States Senator, distinguished public servant, tireless advocate on behalf of Maine. You have blazed a trail of congressional firsts as you have earned the respect of a nation. You were born in Augusta, Maine, to Greek immigrant parents, whose early deaths were the life-altering moment of your youth. Raised by your aunt and uncle in Auburn, you graduated from high school there and went on to the University of Maine and a Bachelor in Political Science in 1969. We set foot on the moon as you took steps toward a future in politics. You started with a seat on the Board of Voter Registration and in 1973 faced adversity yet again with the death of your first husband, Peter Snowe. What would have been an insurmountable for many of us was an impetus to you. You were elected to his seat in Maine's House of Representatives and just 3 years later to the Maine Senate, the first woman to serve in both houses of a state legislature. When you walked onto the national stage in 1978, it was impossible not to take notice. At just 31, the youngest Republican woman ever elected to Congress and the first Greek-American woman as well. Representing the 27,000 miles of Maine's 2nd District, you not only covered a lot of ground, but you met 1st District Congressman John Jock McKernan. He was governor when you married in 1989, and you wore the hats of First Lady of Maine, U.S. Representative, and with your election to the U.S. Senate in 1994, where you carried every county of the state, Senator Olympia Snowe, first woman in American history to serve in both houses of Congress. For 16 years, through 2 re-elections with wide margin wins, you have brought undeniable skill to the job. You've shown us that one vote can be a critical vote, that building consensus is a worthy goal, and that the center can be a place of both energizing heat and light. From women's health to student financial aid, from prescription drug coverage to welfare reform, from oceans and fisheries to campaign finance. You advocate for families and children and the right to choose in all its manifestations. And as evidenced today, you never miss a vote. You have said, "I'm always willing to be the only Republican if it's the right thing." And most recently, in the unfazed and measured style that we've come to know, you brought that to bear on finance reform. You crossed the aisle with more grace than Ginger Rogers. Oh, favorite daughter of Maine, we are honored to embrace your leadership, to admire your intellect, integrity, and dedication that have so defined your service. It is with nonpartisan pride and unequivocal pleasure that we proclaim to the heights of Mount Katahdin your inspiring place in history.
We're going to hold her medal until she shows up. Hillary Callahan, Barnard Professor of Biological Sciences, will present the citation for Shirley Tilghman.
Madam President, I have the honor to present as recipient of the 2010 Barnard Medal of Distinction, Shirley Tilghman. Shirley Marie Tilghman. Academic leader, groundbreaking scientist, first woman ever at Princeton's helm. We thank, O Canada, your home and native land. For it was there in Toronto that you got your embryonic start, and at Queen's University, your honors Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. 2 years in Sierra Leone before you made your way to the US of A. You earned a PhD in biochemistry from Temple University in 1975 and stayed at Temple and the University of Pennsylvania to teach human genetics, biochemistry, and biophysics. During postdoctoral studies at the National Institutes of Health, cloning the first mammalian gene was part of your pioneering research. In 1986, Princeton University beckoned, and you heeded the call. Professor of the Life Sciences, founding director of the Louis Sigler Institute for Integrative Genomics, chair of Princeton's Council on Science and Technology, recipient of the 1996 Award for Distinguished Teaching. And beyond Fitz-Randolph Gates, an investigator for the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, a force behind the Human Genome Project, a member of the National Academy of Sciences, and Google's board of directors. Barnard's own Distinguished Woman in Science lecturer, a recipient of awards as numerous as they are deserved. What you have done for the culture of inquiry, the spirit of learning, and all that is Princeton is immeasurable. In 2001, you became its 19th president, and in so doing, made history. In your decade of remarkable leadership, in your lucky orange shoes, you have continued to be an advocate for women in science. You have instituted family-friendly policies, enriched the arts, and created a neuroscience institute. You have connected with students and campus life and embraced the challenges of globalization. As always, you champion discovery and diversity, speaking candidly against old norms while keeping a 264-year legacy in mind. When Woodrow Wilson, Princeton's first president of the 20th century, said that the object of education is to enlighten, strengthen, and make fit, he foretold your 21st century lead. And today we join all who came before and the multitudes who have raised a root beer at the Hoagie Haven in the spirit of old Nassau to celebrate the impact you have made on higher education. You have enriched the academic community that we at Barnard hold dear, and we offer you our deepest thanks.
Thank you, Hillary. It is my great honor to present you with the Barnard Medal of Distinction. Thank you. And now I have the great honor of presenting the citation for Meryl Streep. Just stand. You're good. I'm directing Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep, legendary actor, master of the voice of women, advocate for our causes. Quite possibly the greatest virtuoso of your craft, of this or of any generation. It's as if being born in Summit, New Jersey was a clue to how high you would rise. From cheerleader and homecoming queen to cum laude graduate of our sister Vassar in 1971. From an MFA with honors from the Yale School of Drama, where you were known for your range and intensity even early on, to New York's Public Theater and Shakespeare in the Park. Your first film role in Julia, your first television Emmy for Holocaust, your first Oscar nomination for The Deer Hunter, and your first win for Kramer versus Kramer, all within a decade of your Vassar diploma. A second Oscar for Sophie's Choice, a second Emmy for Angels in America, and we all know the current score. 16 Academy Award nominations, more than any actor in history. "25 Golden Globe nominations with 7 wins, another record. SAG Awards, People's Choice, Tony nomination, Lifetime Achievement, and a Grammy nod for Mamma Mia, where your words, "Here I go again," could not be more apt. Summing up your magnificent career is harder than mastering Boeuf Bourguignon. You've taken us from present-day Manhattan to 19th century England, from Madison County to colonial Africa, from runway to kitchen to convent. The women you have painstakingly rendered have struggled with the drama of divorce, the lure of secret love, the clutches of addiction, and, forever etched in our minds, the most agonizing choice a mother could make. But we have laughed with you as well in your turns as the Greek Isle goddess, the French chef, the icy editor-in-chief. You even animate well, as Bart Simpson's girlfriend and that fantastic Mrs. Fox. Your perfect intonation always astounds. Polish, Danish, Australian, Irish, the subtle slur of Western Pennsylvania. And your collaborations never fail, with Hoffman and Redford, Brosnan and Nicholson, Eastwood and Tucci, Hathaway and McLean. With each, you demonstrate that you're a chameleon at the core, inhabiting every kind of woman, the exotic to the ordinary, with equal parts realism and heart. And you're almost certainly the first female star who is more luminous now than ever, who has soared past ingenue into a broader cosmos. Yes. We hail you too, we're almost done, for staying in the spotlight while staying off page 6. Esteemed and beloved, never a commodity, we somehow feel you're one of us. Meanwhile, for the women of the world, their children and the environment, you have taken time and energy to give of yourself, lending your voice to myriad organizations like Partners in Health and Equality Now. and your work on behalf of the arts, music, poetry, regional theater has enriched the human experience for us all. Quite simply, you are one true thing. We have learned from your brilliant portrayals, your moxie, your wit and humility, from Jane and Julia, Francesca and Miranda, Joanna and Sophie. So today, Meryl Streep, I am honored to present you with one award you have somehow managed not yet to achieve, the Barnard Medal of Distinction.
Dry mouth. Wow. Thank you all. Thank you, President Spar, Ms. Golden, President Tilghman, members of the Board of Trustees, distinguished faculty, proud, swelling parents and family, and gorgeous class of 2010. If you are all really, really lucky, and if you continue to work super hard, and you remember your thank you notes and everybody's name, and you follow through on every task that's asked of you, and also somehow anticipate problems before they even arise, and you somehow sidestep disaster and score big. If you get great scores on your LSATs, or MSATs, or ERSATs, or whatever, and you get into your dream grad school or internship, which then leads to a super job with a paycheck commensurate with the responsibilities of leadership, or if you somehow get that documentary edited on a shoestring budget, and then it's accepted at Sundance, and then maybe it wins Sundance, and then you go on to be nominated for an Oscar, and then you win the Oscar. Or if that money-making website that you've designed with your friends somehow suddenly attracts investors and advertisers and becomes the go-to site for whatever it is you're selling, blogging, sharing, or netcasting, and success, shining, hoped for, but never really anticipated success comes your way, I guarantee you, someone you know or love will come to you and say, "Will you address the graduates at my college?" And you'll say, "Yeah, sure, when is it?" May 2010. 2010? Yeah, that's months away. And then the nightmare begins. The nightmare we've all had, and I want to assure you, you will continue to have, even after graduation, 40 years after graduation. About a week before the due date, you wake up in the middle of the night. I have a paper due and I haven't done the reading. Oh my God. If you have been touched by the success fairy, people think you know why. It's true. People think success breeds enlightenment, and you are duty-bound to spread it around like manure, really. Fertilize those young minds. Let them in on the secret. What is it that you know that no one else knows? The self-examination begins. One looks inward. One opens an interior door. Cobwebs. Black. The lights bulbs burned out the airless, dank refrigerator of an insanely overscheduled, unexamined life that usually just gets takeout. Where is my writer friend, Anna Quindlen, when I need her? On another book tour. Hello, I'm Meryl Streep. Oh, and today, class of 2010, I am very honored and I am humbled to be asked to pass on tips and inspiration to you for achieving success in this next part of your lives. President Spar, when I consider the other distinguished medal recipients and the venerable Board of Trustees, the many accomplished faculty and family members, people who've actually done things, produced things, while I have pretended to do things, I can think of about 3,800 people who should have been on this list before me. And, you know, since my success has depended wholly on my putting things over on people. So I'm not sure the parents really think I'm that great a role model anyway. I am, however, an expert in pretending to be an expert in various areas. So, just randomly, like everything else in this speech. I am, or I was, an expert in kissing on stage and on screen. How did I prepare for this? Well, most of my preparation for this took place at my suburban high school, or rather behind my suburban high school in New Jersey. One is obliged to do a great deal of kissing in my line of work. Air kissing, ass kissing, kissing up, and of course, actual kissing. Much like hookers, actors have to do it with people we may not like or even know. We may have to do it with friends, which is, believe it or not, particularly awkward. For people of my generation, it's awkward. My other areas of faux expertise, river rafting, miming the effects of radiation poisoning, knowing which shoes go with which bag, coffee plantationing, Polish, German, French, Italian, that's Iowa-Italian from the bridges of Madison County, bit of a brogue, bit of the Bronx, Aramaic, Yiddish, Irish clog dancing, cooking, singing, riding horses, knitting, playing the violin, and simulating steamy sexual encounters. These are some of the areas in which I have pretended quite proficiently to be successful, or the other way around, as have many women here, I'm sure. Women, I feel I can say this authoritatively, especially at Barnard, where they can't hear us. What am I talking about? They professionally can't hear us. Women are better at acting than men. Why? Because we have to be. If successfully convincing someone bigger than you are of something he doesn't want to know is a survival skill, this is how women have survived through the millennia. Pretending is not just play. Pretending is imagined possibility. Pretending or acting is a very valuable life skill, and we all do it all the time. We don't want to be caught doing it, but nevertheless, it's part of the adaptation of our species. We change who we are to fit the exigencies of our time. and not just strategically or to our own advantage, sometimes sympathetically, without our even knowing it, for the betterment of the whole group. I remember very clearly my own first conscious attempt at acting. I was 6, placing my mother's half slip over my head in preparation to play the Virgin Mary in our living room. As I swaddled my Betsy Wetsy doll, I felt quieted, holy, actually. And my transfigured face and very changed demeanor, captured on Super 8 by my dad, pulled my little brothers, Harry, 4, playing Joseph, and Dana, 2, a barnyard animal, into the trance. They were actually pulled into this little nativity scene by the intensity of my focus, in a way that my usual technique for getting them to do what I want, yelling at them, never ever would have achieved. And I learned something on that day. Later, when I was 9, I remember taking my mother's eyebrow pencil and carefully drawing lines all over my face, replicating the wrinkles that I had memorized on the face of my grandmother, whom I adored. I made my mother take my picture, and I look at it now. Of course, I look like myself now, and my grandmother then. But I really do remember in my bones how it was possible on that day to feel her age. I stooped, I felt weighted down, but cheerful. You know, I felt like her. Empathy is at the heart of the actor's art. And in high school, another form of acting took hold of me. I wanted to learn how to be appealing. So I studied the character I imagined I wanted to be, that of the generically pretty high school girl. I researched her deeply, that is to say, shallowly, in Vogue and 17 and Mademoiselle magazines. I tried to imitate her hair, her lipstick, her lashes, the clothes of the lissome, beautiful, generically appealing high school girls that I saw in those pages. I ate an apple a day, period. I peroxided my hair, ironed it straight. I demanded brand name clothes. My mother shut me down on that one. But I did. I worked harder on this characterization, really, than anyone that I think I've ever done since. I worked on my giggle. I lightened it because I liked it when it kind of went up at the end. Because I thought it sounded childlike and cute. This was all about appealing to boys and at the same time being accepted by the girls. It's a very tricky negotiation. Often success in one area precludes succeeding in the other. And along with all of my exterior choices, I worked on what actors call my interior adjustment. I adjusted my natural temperament, which tends to be slightly bossy, a little opinionated, loud, little loud, full of pronouncements and high spirits. And I willfully cultivated softness, agreeableness, a breezy, natural sort of sweetness, even a shyness, if you will, which was very, 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 very effective on the boys. But the girls didn't buy it. They didn't like me. They sniffed it out, the acting. And they were probably right. But I was committed. This was absolutely not a cynical exercise. This was a vestigial survival courtship skill I was developing. And I reached a point senior year when my adjustment felt like me. I had actually convinced myself that I was this person and she me. Pretty, talented, but not stuck up. You know, a girl who laughed a lot at every stupid thing every boy said, and who lowered her eyes at the right moment and deferred, who learned to defer when the boys took over the conversation. I really remember this so clearly. And I could tell it was working. I was much less annoying to the guys than I had been. They liked me better, and I liked that. This was conscious, but it was at the same time motivated and fully felt. This was real acting. I got to Vassar, which 43 years ago was a single-sex institution, like all the colleges in what they called the Seven Sisters, the female Ivy League. And I made some very quick but lifelong and challenging friends. And with their help, outside of any competition for boys, my brain woke up. I got up and I got outside myself and I found myself again. I didn't have to pretend. I could be goofy, vehement, aggressive, and slovenly, and open, and funny, and tough, and my friends let me. I didn't wash my hair for 3 weeks once. They accepted me like the Velveteen Rabbit. I became real instead of an imaginary stuffed bunny. But I stockpiled that character from high school, and I breathed life into her again some years later as Linda in The Deer Hunter. There's probably not one of you graduates who has ever seen this film, but The Deer Hunter, it won Best Picture in 1978, Robert De Niro, Chris Walken, not funny at all. And I played Linda, a small-town girl from a working-class background, a lovely, quiet, hapless girl who waited for the boys she loved to come back from the war in Vietnam. Often, men my age, President Clinton, by the way, when I met him, said, men my age mention that character as their favorite of all the women I've played. And I have my own secret understanding of why that is. And it confirms every decision I made in high school. This is not to denigrate that girl, by the way, or the men who are drawn to her in any way, because she's still part of me and I'm part of her. She wasn't acting, but she was just behaving in a way that cowed girls, submissive girls, beaten up girls with very few ways out have behaved forever and still do in many worlds. Now, in a measure of how much the world has changed, the character most men mention as their favorite is Miranda Priestley. The beleaguered totalitarian at the head of Runway magazine, Devil Wears Prada. To my mind, this represents such an optimistic shift. They relate to Miranda. They wanted to date Linda. They felt sorry for Linda, but they feel like Miranda. They can relate to her issues, the high standards she sets for herself and others, the thanklessness of the leadership position, the nobody understands me thing, the loneliness. They stand outside one character and they pity her and they kind of fall in love with her, but they look through the eyes of this other character. This is a huge deal because, as people in the movie business know, the absolute hardest thing in the whole world is to persuade
a straight male audience to identify with a woman protagonist, to feel themselves embodied by her. This, more than any other factor, explains why we get the movies we get and the paucity of roles where women drive the film. It's much easier for the female audience because we were all brought up, grown up, identifying with male characters from Shakespeare to Salinger. We have less trouble following Hamlet's dilemma viscerally, or Romeo's, or Tybalt's, or Huck Finn, or Peter Pan. I remember holding that sword up to Hook. I felt like him. But it is much, much, much harder for heterosexual boys to be able to identify with Juliet, or Desdemona, or Wendy in Peter Pan, or Joe in Little Women, or The Little Mermaid, or Pocahontas. Why? I don't know. But it just is. There has always been a resistance to imaginatively assume a persona if that persona is a she. But things are changing now, and it's in your generation that we're seeing this. Men are adapting. About time. They are adapting consciously and also without realizing it for the better of the whole group. They're changing their deepest prejudices to accept and to regard as normal things that their fathers would have found very, very difficult, and their grandfathers would have abhorred. And the door into this emotional shift is empathy. As Jung said, emotion is the chief source of becoming conscious. There can be no transforming of likeness into dark, of apathy into movement without emotion. Or as Leonard Cohen says, pay attention to the cracks, because that's where the light gets in. You, young women of Barnard, have not had to squeeze yourselves into the corset of being cute or to muffle your opinions, but then you haven't left campus yet. I'm just kidding. What you have had is the privilege of a very specific education. You are people that may be able to draw on a completely different perspective, to imagine a different possibility than women and men who went to co-ed schools. How this difference is going to really serve you, it's hard to quantify now. You may take you 40 years, like it did me, to look back and analyze your advantage. But today is about looking forward into a world where so-called women's issues, human issues of gender inequality live at the very crux of the global problems everyone suffers, from poverty to the AIDS crisis, the rise in violent fundamentalist juntas, human trafficking, and human rights abuses. And you are going to have the opportunity and the obligation, by virtue of your provenance, to speed progress in all these areas. And this is a place where, even though the need is very great, the news is too. This is your time, and it feels normal to you, but really there is no normal. There's only change and resistance to it, and then more change. Never before in the history of our country have most of the advanced degrees been awarded to women, but now they are. Since the dawn of man, it's hardly more than 100 years since we were even allowed into these buildings except to clean them. But soon, most of the law and medical degrees will probably also go to women. Around the world, poor women now own property who used to be property. And according to The Economist magazine, for the last 2 decades, the increase in female employment in the rich world has been the main driving force of growth. Those women have contributed more to global GDP growth than have either new technology or the new giants, India or China. Cracks in the ceiling, cracks in the door, cracks in the court and on the Senate floor. You know, I gave a speech at Vassar 27 years ago. It was a really big hit. Everybody loved it, really. Tom Brokaw said it was the very best commencement speech he had ever heard, and of course I believed this. And you know, it was much easier to construct than this one. It came out pretty easily because back then I knew so much. I was a new mother. I had two Academy Awards, and it was all, you know, coming together so nicely. I was smart, and I understood boilerplate and what sounded good, and because I'd been on the squad in high school, earnest, full-throated cheerleading was my specialty, so that's what I did. But now, I feel like I know about 1/16 of what that young woman knew. Things don't seem as certain today. Now I'm 60, I have 4 adult children who are all facing the same challenges that you are. How it makes things tough for your family. And whether being famous matters really one bit in the end, in the whole flux of time. I know I was invited here because of how famous I am and how many awards I've won. And while I am overweeningly proud of the work that I, believe me, did not do on my own. I can assure you that awards have very little bearing on my own personal happiness, my own sense of well-being and purpose in the world. That comes from studying the world feelingly, with empathy in my work. It comes from staying alert and alive and involved in the lives of the people that I love and the people in the wider world who need my help. No matter what you see me or hear me saying when I'm on your TV holding a statuette and spewing, that's acting. Being a celebrity has taught me to hide, but being an actor has opened my soul. Being here today has forced me to look around inside there for something useful that I can share with you. And I'm really grateful that you gave me the chance. You know, you don't have to be famous. You just have to make your mother and father proud of you. And you already have. Bravo to you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Meryl, for delivering a speech that was as inspiring as it was memorable. I'm sure from the bottom of all of our hearts, we thank you for being here and for being you. Now, Dorothy Denberg, Barnard class of 1970 and Dean of the College, will present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
So if I live to be 100, today will always be remembered as the day that I shared a bill with Meryl Streep. And she was my warm-up act. Okay. Madam President, it is my privilege and great pleasure to present to you now the outstanding, passionate, accomplished, environmentally and socially conscious, spirited, and creative young women of the class of 2010. I do so with mixed emotions, for we will miss them. We include some members of the class on whom the degree was conferred last February, those who have completed in this term the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, and some who expect, indeed, have solemnly pledged to complete work during the summer. I shall call only the names of those who are present here today. We wish the general college and departmental honors could be announced at this time, but senior programs are so diverse and the examination period so brief that a complete and accurate list of honorees could not be compiled for this afternoon's ceremony. Diplomas for those who have earned honors will be appropriately inscribed with cum laude, magna cum laude, or summa cum laude. Departmental honors and election to Phi Beta Kappa, as well as all college honors and prizes, will be posted on the website. At this time, I wish to pause and, on behalf of the members of the class, ask that we remember Aaliyah Phillips, who was awarded her degree in February and whose untimely and tragic death on November 10, 2009, has left a void in the hearts of her family, classmates, faculty, friends, and deans. We remember Aaliyah, her passion for social justice, her intellectual curiosity, her generosity, and her talent for friendship. The order of presentation will be by major fields, and candidates will process to the platform as their names are read. May I ask all of you, please, to withhold applause until the last senior has been presented. Africana Studies, Emma Impick. Ariella Crones. Sonia Shadravan. Also, shouting is to be withheld till the end. American Studies, Stephanie Brown. Natalie Denault. Allison Halperin. Jenny Rose Halperin. Donna Liu. Lucy Labin Bean. Ellen Miller. Miriam Miller. Nicole Noletti. Iris Rodriguez. Claire Sheldon.
Go Iris.
Rebecca Tuckman. Ancient Studies, Molly Fells. Ancient Studies and Anthropology, Irene Soto. Ancient Studies in English, Caroline Hammer. Ancient Studies and Political Science, Molly Fox. Anthropology, Anastasia Bader. Sonali Bassin. Emma Candon. Laura Chen. Ann Danis. Elizabeth Edwards. Anna Esteval. Iris Fernandez. Megan Holland. Sarah Kim. Samantha Copin. Debora Labaton. Serena Lee. Marilla Lee. Christine Maloney. Gilly Messer. Kate Miles. Maya Mukhopadhyay. Bergen Pearson. Melissa Rodriguez. Sophie Shapiro. Ann Taylor. Marley Weiner. Erin White. Ruth Williams. Combined major in anthropology and human rights, Verniva Ziga. Anthropology and English, Carly Leff. Anthropology and film studies, Marissa O'Hara. Anthropology and theater, Elizabeth Noth. Architecture, Lydia Barty. Rachel Blatt. Desiree Cassoni. Monique Colas. Evelyn Ferreira. Charlotte Fure. Tanya Gershon, Erin Kennedy. Linda Levin. Allison McElbride. Jacqueline Meyer. Sachi Nasatir. That's a first. Christina Sanchez. Architecture and Mathematics, Gertrude Friedman. History and Theory of Architecture, Shaliana Lopez. Art History, Emily Cheeseman. Samantha Child. Christina Daly. Peggy Ebner. Lindsay Griffith. Kelly Michelle Gorado. Tanya Isaacoff. Christina Mandy. Tara McDonough. Stephanie Neal. Jacqueline Rogers. Madeline Sparer. Amanda Stoffel. Stephanie Taras. Jessica Wall. Art History with a concentration in Visual Arts, Madison Burgess. Clementine Gilbert. Xinhua Hong. Gabriela Monsanto. Milbury Polk Bauman. Combined major in Art History and Human Rights, Alberta Wright. Art History and Dance, Alexandra Duffy. Asian and Middle Eastern Cultures, Emma Deards. Hannah Fitzpatrick. Abigail Kerbel. Alicia Louie. Kathryn Rooney. Chloe Surinsky. Kanaka Wada. Madeline Welch. Katherine Zhang. Mei Feng Zhang. Combined major in Asian and Middle Eastern Cultures and Jewish Studies, Laura Mafta. Asian and Middle Eastern Cultures and Economic History, Nancy El-Shami. Asian and Middle Eastern Cultures and Environmental Policy, Sarah Schuldenfrei. Asian and Middle Eastern Cultures and Environmental Science, Michelle Artani. Combined major in Asian and American Studies, Aretha Choi. Maggie Kim. Biochemistry, Brisa Herlacher. Wen Chi Jiang. Linda Suen. Majors in Biological Sciences, Carleen Bateman. Debbie Chen. Jessica Chen. Mary Rose Gradaville. Katherine Hong. Natalie Howlett. Sarah Ishal. Annie Zhang. Christine Lacuna. Catherine Rosen Gagnon. Lauren Thompson. Miriam Toaf. Haley Zamer. Biological Sciences and Economics, Firdaus Dawood. Biological Sciences and History, Pooja Dave. Biological Sciences and Political, Biological Sciences and Political Science, Diana Lynn Shu. Chemistry, Renee Harris. Bianca Lahiji. Nicole Mizrahi. Classics Greek, Karen Kwan. Classics Latin, Jignasha Patel. Classics Latin and Economics, Carla Michelle. Comparative Literature, Olivia Kurz. Heather Lowe. Alessandra Marks. Faith Rusk. Lara Schilling. Delna Wheel. Computer Science, Daphne LaRose. Majors in Dance, Jessica Bacon. Sharona Khan. Meryl Lodge. Dance and Anthropology, Laureen Babushian. Dance and Political Science, Judith Esty. Economic History, Tiffany DeBurcio. Economic History and Spanish and Latin American Cultures, Gemma Corrigan. Economics, Molly Alter. Sarah Ashman. Flavia Bento de Faria. Anjali Biala. Mary Billington. Lydia Byhauer. Danielle Childs. Prima Chowdhury. Elizabeth Cohn. Nellie Dafcheva. Lauren DeVestern. Nisha Garg. Anna Guay. Kathryn Guo. Ksenia Gutsol. Jennifer Hanrahan. Sarah Horvath. Shira Jacobs. Hua Kyung Jung. Joanna Califatis. Marcia Kaufman. Morgan Krupetsky. Akhil Kumarasamy. Nina Lakhani. Nicole Lamb. Melissa Lasker. Lisa Lewis. Bing Liao. Janine Lim. Jacqueline Morrow. Elena Mayer. Mary McGaw. Nicole Meeder. Jessica Milberg Haydu. Chelsea Miller. Esther Min. Mary Mizoguchi. Shwen Hui Win. Jayati Nigam. Hei Yu Pang. Jennifer Pessin. Sonali Pillay. Isabel Rubin. Elizabeth Shockey. Sarah Smoley. Rani So. Malgorzata Soltis. Julia Surikoff. Shelley Steinberg. Jessica Stevenson. Stephanie Stroop. Elizabeth Z. Samantha Tao, Kylie Tukulski, Tien Kim Tran, Connie Wang, Danielle Wiener Bronner, Natalie Yamin, Lily Yip, Economics and Mathematics, Jing Tu Sen, Yua Chen, Jessica Lieberman, Lucy Zhang, combined major in Economics and Human Rights, Ruchi Shah, Economics and European Studies, Ashley Langquist, Yolanda Langquist, together in everything they do. Economics and Film History, Elena Blechter, Economics and Italian, Florida Quello, Economics and Psychology, Natalia Cohen, Eliana Varangis, Economics and Spanish and Latin American Cultures, Sabina Barbulea, Zamia Chuchilan Torres, Dara Silberman, majors in English, Jillian Adler, Vaden Anthony North, Adriana Berg, Allison Bumke, Maya Campbell, Liana Carrigan, Yang Chi, Caitlin Clark, Maya Cohen, Gwyneth Cullen, Quincy Devlin, Mary Dobies, Carolina Dominguez, Emma Dorsey, Rebecca Douglas, Rose DuPont, Nicole Edison, Ariana Garber, Rachel Gashkoff, Emily Giovine, Elizabeth Gordon, Marissa Grossman, Madeline Jory, Elizabeth Huang, Jill Janofsky, Emily Kahn, Jenny Leroy, Jennifer Mandel, Jillian Marcellus, Lauren Marsh, Yahel Matalone, Elizabeth McAvoy, Megan McElroy, Hannah Oldsman, Caroline Porter, Caitlin Quenzer, Akshatha Ramakrishnan, Julia Reingold, Alexandra Rodriguez, Jamie Rubenstein, Naomi Shackner, Martha Shiverick, Nancy Schoen, Eve Solomon, Abby Stone, Sandra Susser, Veronica Shigyel, Julie Weiner, Samantha Wu, Rachel Ziegler, English with a concentration in American literature, Miriam Manber, English with concentrations in American literature and writing, Alicia Mountain, Jacqueline Stolzer, English with a concentration in film studies, Cynthia Cessant, Emily Coates, Shana Cornelius, Ariel Carlin, Madeline Langleib. English with a concentration in theater, Tamara Geisler. Courtney Mitchell. Wesley Salazar. Rachel Weiss. English with a concentration in writing, Sarah Blakely Cartwright. Lauren Ely. Marissa Masick. Gazem Asalik. Julia Phillips. Malia Schulman. Abby Sugar. Clarissa Wang. Wen Yang. English and Film Studies, Jacqueline Dow. English with a concentration in theater and political science, Annette Larocco. English with a concentration in writing and history, Hollis McDonald. English with a concentration in writing and music, Kathryn Hathaway. Environmental biology, Jennifer Blaha. Laura Diefenbach. Kamini Dubé. Ariel Leon. Environmental biology and French, Talia Arbit. Environmental policy, Emily Blanchard. Anna Law. Megan McNally. Joanna Pampalova. Acadia Rohr. Environmental science, Kara Fields. Tara McAlexander. Holly Menton Wheel. Samantha Roberts. Elena Steptaitis. Film Studies, Lucy Chang. Carolyn Getchis. Jessica Salinas. Margaret O. Film Studies and Political Science, Rachel Barber. Majors in French, Emily Baird. Tatiana Chilkovsky. Vanessa Gonzalez. Shara Grau. Danielle Jacob. Christina Politano. Madeline Rubenstein. French and Francophone Studies, Melanie Weniger. French and Psychology, Morgana Davids. German, Bryson Tedford. Majors in History, Emma Brockway. Julia Calabrese. Emily Chen. Karen Daskin. Sarah Evans. Julia Friedman. Mallory Garcia. Caitlin Gillies. Jenna Havel. Annie Kennington. Liang Ying Ko. Sarah Kupferberg. Caroline Lang. Lan Lee. Haley Negrin. Sarah Panfil. Nina Roth. Chisato Sakamoto. Ann Salsick. Kirsten Schnittger. Sarah Shore. Alexandra Triumph. Gretchen Van Dyke. Esther Weisbrod. Diana Wilson. Special major in History, Theater, and Performance, Jamie Lubin. Italian, Elise Calderola. Cecily Wong. Italian and political science, Francesca Procaccini. Linguistics, Rebecca Standig. Mathematics, Emily Hathaway. Molly Stein. Elizabeth Williams. Music, Rebecca Greenstein. Kathryn Hicks. Ethnomusicology, Brianna Bartley. Ashley Greger. Anna Perez. Neuroscience and Behavior, Elaine Birchman. Chung Suk Cho. Nicolette Coco. Rebecca Doma. Rachelle Duguay. Anastasia Erickson. Jennifer Gilman. Akila Iyer. Elzbieta Yatsik. Olga Kovalerchik. Larissa Matei. Amanda Miller. Dalia Musharafi. Victoria Pato. Rosa Pasculi. Jennifer Perusini. Tamar Schiff. Elizabeth Shelley. Paulina Varava. Shilpa Vasishta. Haley Beccarelli. Yvonne Wang. Diane Yu. Neuroscience and Behavior and Spanish and Latin American Cultures, Zoe Klein. Philosophy, Shayna Crandell. Margaret Crone. Gwendolyn Dipert. Carrie Fuchs. Jennifer Grosbard. Esme Murdoch. Hannah Perry. Laura Rogers. Jillian Ruggiero. Physics, Jillian Drake. Gwen Efgen. Ann Norick. Caitlin Patterson. Ryoko Suzuki. Physics and Dance, Glenna Clifton. Special major in astrochemistry, Gemma Walcott Green. Political science, Ilana RJ. Sarah Arrow. Elise Bergerson. Caitlin Brazil. Emily Crossan. Yasmina Dizdarovich. Alexis Decker. Davina Etwaru. Keely Faulkner. Sydney Frosch. Miriam Goldblum. Sarah Hirschman. Christine Hizan. Nancy Humer. Masuma Javed. Sabina Khan. Sydney Kump. Rachel Langlis. Anais Leon. Claudia Lucatero. Noelle Marcus. Kathryn Martin Brown. Courtney Muller. Eleanor Noble. Malgorzata Pavlak. Courtney Presswood. Mayisha Rashid. Melissa Repko. Lauren Saltiel, Kathryn Schulman, Emily Specker, Kellyanne Tadonio, Hannah Vogel, Sharon Warhit, Shannon Weiner, Shantez Wilson, Samia Zaidi, combined major in political science and human rights, Allison Barakoff-Port, Francesca Overwater, Kirsten Schei, Rebecca Shore, Allison Silvera, combined major in political science and Jewish studies, Eleonora Bershatskaya, political science and psychology, Zeynep Meimei Jean, psychology, Alana Adler, Mina Azizi, Elisheva Bellin, Talia Berkowitz, Wesley Birdsall, Caitlin Blevins, Kathryn Chang, Tara Choak, Stephanie Curtis, Rachel Danis, Danielle DeFilippo, Allison Down, Naomi Ellenson, Jacqueline Eskew, Maria Evans, Lauren Feldman, Ruth Ann Fearberg, Kenya George, Rachel Gordon, Simone Grazi, Laura Green, Aaliyah Johnson, Asima Kapoor, Ashima Kapoor, Miko Khan, Caroline Leone, Esther Levine, Melissa Lohman, Sabrina Lopez, Natalie Lopez Barnard, born to go to Barnard, Danitza Manshevska, Emily Merkel, Lauren Moldauer, Carla Palacios, Sharina Persad, Ellen Pieper, Caitlin Riley, Danielle Robin, Alina Rodriguez, Melissa Rodriguez, Aliza Romarowski, Hannah Schmidt, Kathleen Sia, Hannah Silva, Kalinda Smith, Joelle Velasco, Jane Waterfall, Courtney Williams, Abigail Wilpers, Amy Young, Ming Yuan Zhou, combined major in psychology and human rights, Tara Banahi, psychology and theater, Anna Weinstein, religion, Ilana Borzak, too much practice, Lindsay Lavorne Zimmerman, combined major in religion and women's studies, Sarah Shara Colburn, Russian, Micah Horwitz. Robin Jensen. Russian Regional Studies, Laura Hendrickson. Rebecca Kim. Sociology, Melissa Brito. Sarah Chen. Michelle Chung. Elisa DePisa. Danielle Hu. Whitney Hoot. Mianne Lin. Rebecca Martinez. Amira Nauman. Stephanie Pachula. Laura Sachs. Molly Shear. Shayna Siegel. Veronica Vasquez. Kathleen Wong. Combined major in Sociology and Human Rights, Alexandra Woodward. Spanish and Latin American Cultures, Elizabeth Byerly. Statistics, Amanda Rivera. Theater, Heather Englander. Lily Finn. Kathryn Fitzgerald. Marie Huntley. Heather Janey. Amanda Rohde. Combined major in Theater and Women's Studies, Melissa Macedo. Urban Studies, Anna Ahrens. Emily Byrol. Wendy Bermudez. Anna Brower. Suzanne Chipkin. Kaylee Doombach. Malika Edquist. Marley Ikowitz. Constanza Jacobs. Takako Kono. Ann Krasner. Victoria Lehman. Lucia Mattox. Logan Morrow. Jennifer Pine. Anna Wagoner Sobrero. Women's Studies, Molly Allig. Vanity David. Chelsea Frazier. Devin Shea. Raina Sobieski. Jamie Young. And now, last, but certainly not least, I am pleased to present the senior marshals, those members of the class honored in these ceremonies for their contributions to the life of the college in its many aspects and their service to the entire Barnard community. Anna Steffens, American Studies. Sally Davis, Anthropology and Music. Samantha Cooperberg, Anthropology. Zeest Hader, Economics. Allison Hodgson, Asian and Middle Eastern Cultures. Rachel Simonson, Biological Sciences. Julia Tolentino, Chemistry. Lindsay McGay, Dance and English. Kimberly Wu, Combined Major in Environmental Science and Human Rights. Emma Seesfeld, Economics. Ellie McNamara, Economics. Sharmin Ahmed, Economics and Mathematics. Danielle Brown, Economics. Amy Chen, Economics. Joy Resmovitz, English. Alexandra Huber, English. Isabel Arujo, English. Rachel Wilkinson, Political Science. Kathryn O'Gorman, Political Science. Keysandra Aguinor, Neuroscience and Behavior. Megan Manganero, Neuroscience and Behavior. Rachel Lobel, History. Marcy Levely, Combined Major in History and Women's Studies. Virginia Berger, French and Francophone Studies. Leonore Waldrip, English with a concentration in writing. Lillian Shargin, Women's Studies. Caroline Englander, Theater. Anne Frances Comfort Cole, Urban Studies. Musna Ansari, Combined Major in Economics and Human Rights. Judith Lomax, Psychology. Giselle Leon, Psychology and Spanish and Latin American Cultures. Lan San Lam, Economics and Psychology. Stephanie Velasquez, Economics. Alexandra Murata, Environmental Science. Chelsea Zimmerman, Political Science. Kathryn Palillo, American Studies. You may now applaud as long and as loudly as you would like.
It is my privilege, acting on the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees and on behalf of the faculty of Barnard College, to present these students just named at the Columbia University commencement ceremony to be held Tuesday morning for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. And now it is my turn to depart a little bit from the formalities of my role today and to offer a few more personal closing remarks. And I hope you feel my pain, because it is a beautiful May day. You or your daughter or granddaughter or sister or girlfriend has just graduated from college. You have heard from the inimitable Anna Quindlen and the extraordinary Meryl Streep. Champagne and good cheer are waiting for you just across the street. And I get to be the finale. So what, I asked my son, can I possibly say? Just keep it short, Mom, he advised. Just keep it short. And so I shall. In fact, I am going to give you not a speech, nor even words of wisdom, but instead just a list, stealing shamelessly from the style of, well, a rather shameless man. So without attribution or further ado, I would like to present the top 10 things I hope you've learned at Barnard. Thing number 10. I hope you've learned that all of the interesting questions in life have no right answers. That instead, these questions, What is the meaning of life? What is the relationship between interest rates and inflation? Where is the best falafel in Manhattan? Exist only to baffle us and to push us to search for answers, even as we know we'll never find them. Number 9, I hope you have learned that the joy of inquiry comes from the process itself, from seeing puzzles and building hypotheses and garnering the evidence to formulate an argument. I hope you have spent hours in the library or at the microscope or behind the stage, frustrated and angry and convinced that you'll never get it right. And I hope you realize, with the passage of even just a little bit of time, that those were actually the moments when you pushed yourself to glimpse a little bit of the truth. Number 8, notwithstanding numbers 9 and 10 above, I hope you have also learned that sometimes the answer is just 12, or 6.25, or no. That, in other words, there are facts out there, hard, fast, irrefutable, and irrevocable facts, and that it's your job to understand them and to analyze them rather than just relying on other people's interpretations. Number 7, I hope you have learned that we live, in an increasingly global world, a world which does not, in fact, revolve solely around the United States, and in which U.S. influence is probably going to be dampened over time. Instead, diversity entails engaging with and learning from people who are fundamentally different than you, people who have very different sets of beliefs, people whom you may not like. Diversity, I hope you've learned here, is a critical element of building a better society, but it doesn't come easily, and it cannot be attained merely by proclaiming it. Number 5, I hope you have learned the meaning of agency, that each of you is not just a person to whom things happen, but an individual who makes things happen. I hope you have a sense of just how great your agency can be, but also that greatness is not necessarily related to size. In other words, I hope you've learned that you need not make an impact on the world by curing cancer, or running a Fortune 500 company, or writing the great American novel. Instead, you affect the world with every decision you make, to take this job rather than that one, to donate to this cause rather than the other, to smile at the stranger you pass on the street rather than look away. You exert power with virtually every move you make. It's your job to recognize this power and to use it wisely. Number 4, despite what I said about globalization, I hope you realize that New York is still the best city on the planet. Number 3, I hope you've read Milton Friedman and Karl Marx and that you know the difference. I hope you've read Simone de Beauvoir and Betty Friedan and that you understand something about the women who gave you the rights and the freedoms you enjoy today. I hope that the poets among you have learned the basics of organic chemistry and that the chemists learn to appreciate the power and beauty of prose. I hope you've read Zora Neale Hurston and Anna Quindlen and Mary Gordon and Jhumpa Lahiri, and that you never, ever forget that they're all Barnard women. Number 2, I hope you have learned that you are the future, and that in that future you will be paying for my Social Security because the US government is going to run out of money eventually. That was the intro to macroeconomics for those of you who might have missed it. And finally, number 1, I hope you have learned, even in the few weeks leading up to this day, that life moves faster than you ever imagined it could, that things you see stretching out into the distant future, a career, kids perhaps, that book you want to write, your 20th reunion, are actually much closer than you think. So grab the time before you and the time you are in. Cherish it, use it, And don't wait too long to do the things that really matter to you, whatever they may be. Realize in the beauty of this day that, like all of us, you will grow and age and change. So use your time wisely, and in the meantime, wear sunscreen. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being part of Barnard. I would now like to invite the senior class to rise and join in the singing of the alma mater.
There's a college on a hilltop that's very dear to me, and a certain group of students with ties of camaraderie. So we'll sing to dear old Barnard and loyal be and true, as we show to coming classes how we love the white and blue. When the day has come for parting and college days are o'er, there will always be a fondness for the good old days of yore. And we'll sing to dear old Barnard as a memory we see the college on a hilltop where our classmates used to be.
I declare this 118th ceremony of the presentation of Barnard candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degree adjourned. Please stay in place until the last graduate has left their seat and we complete the procession. And then please also join us back on the Barnard campus as we continue our celebration.